welcome back to another episode of Law Unfiltered. Today, I'm here together with my friend Anyi. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Celine. Hi guys, my name is Anyik. I'm a lawyer working at a firm called Mustafa Ling & Co.
Right. So today we're going to talk about something very common that is going on in Malaysia, not only in Malaysia, in every other country. No, we are not talking about the possibility of starting World War III.
Why not? I mean, it's the most hot thing right now, right?
Yeah, it is. But we are talking about something more, slightly more boring, about tenancy disputes.
Let's go.
Oh, tenancies. It depends on whether is it boring to you or not. To me, I got used to having tenancy agreements. Seeing it it's not boring. It's subjective, and especially when shit happens, then it's not boring anymore. That's when the real stuff kicks in.
Frustrating, you mean?
Depends on whose side are you on.
Okay, so today we are going to play roles in both sides, okay? Let's just say we are the tenant now, okay? Let's just put ourselves in the shoes of a tenant, okay? What are the possible disputes that can arise? Now, the first thing we should know is you have to always pay rent. Doesn't matter whether there is any issues with the property that you're renting or not. You just have to pay the rent. And then, for example, I think the most common thing that can happen when somebody doesn't want to pay rent is like, oh, aircon's not working. Then after that, landlord doesn't want to fix it, and our ceiling leaking. And then until now, landlord also haven't been fixing it.
I mean, to me, okay lah. First and foremost lah, not paying rent is actually a no-no lah, guys. please. If you sign a contract with someone, say your tenancy agreement, it's definitely say that you have to pay, let's say 2,000 a month. You have to pay 2,000 a month, no matter what. Logically speaking,
Yeah.
I mean that's a go-getter.
Yeah.
I understand people get frustrated,
Yeah.
annoyed because of like tenancy. Okay, aircon breakdown, all those, yes. But the thing you all need to know, or anyone needs to know, when you sign a tenancy agreement, or just I want to stay in this place, I just need it for like let's say for 5 years, and just sign. But when in fact about this minor nitty-gritty, let's just say that aircon breakdown, like what Celine said, you have to see, first thing you have to fall back to your tenancy agreement. Is it directly stated that you have to who bears the burden to like fix it or anything? You can't just say that, oh, because the aircon breakdown, I don't want to pay anything. Where can like that, guys? If you bring this into later on, like in court matters, you're the fault. The tenant is at fault, even if the aircon is not fixed, because at the end of the day, the contract says you have to pay this amount. So don't, because of that, oh no aircon, I feel very hot. I know Malaysia is hot, trust me. But that doesn't mean that you won't pay your rent because of it, because you are liable to be sued thereafter later on.
So I think the thing is, right, what possibly can tenants do is this. Look, okay, if there is an issue, talk to your landlord. Sometimes there can be two situations, right? Sometimes tenant rent commercial property or residential property. So let's just say now that you're renting a commercial property, for example, and then the agreement says that the landlord is to provide quiet enjoyment of the property, right? If the aircon breakdown, obviously there's no quiet enjoyment of the property, because now the aircon is not working, customers are not coming, then you lose business, right? So there's no proper enjoyment of the property. In that case, okay, you pay your rent, and then after that you talk to your landlord to fix the aircon. If it's not done, then you sue your landlord for breach of contract, terminate the contract, and then sue the landlord back. I think that is the actual way to do things, and not just retaliate and not pay rent, right? And then moving on to the second part about what Anik said just now about who has the obligation to fix things. Like a lot of people don't read the tenancy agreement. Who has the obligation to fix things? We don't know. I mean, you have to read it, right?
Guys, I will be frank. I understand people just want to take the property and just be done with it. Like, I just want to stay for, let's say, 1 year and I'm done. But please read, because it's always what Celine said, contracts are boring. It's the devil is in detail. You never say it, then you are liable. Like just like what Celine said, quiet enjoyment of land.
So I need to jump in real quick and pause the video for a second. Now, when we talk about the rights of enjoyment to the property, there's one thing tenants should be aware of. If the landlord at any time during the tenure of the tenancy has decided to change the lock, for example, and then deny you access into the premise itself, that is considered as a fundamental breach to the terms of the agreement, which is a direct breach to the right of your enjoyment to the property. And in those cases, then yes, you can terminate the contract immediately because there is a clear fundamental breach. Of course, you have to prove that the landlord has changed the locks. And then after that, when you have terminated the contract, then you can claim back for your deposits. If you have suffered any losses, then you can claim for those as well. So yeah, moving back to that video.
What does that mean to you? I mean, if you go to court, it's a very subjective thing. Because when people think of the tenancy agreement, I get to stay at this place for 1 year. That's the main thing. Whether this is a real breach of the contract, let's go technical a bit. Is this a really like a minor breach, or is it a one that goes to the core to the contract? The core of a tenancy agreement is basically
To pay the rent.
Is that you have to pay the rent and you get to stay. Aircon breakdown is just a minor thing that still can use and still can live with it. But if anything at all, if you want to complain, please write a formal agreement, like a formal letter to your landlord, so that they know about it and try to discuss it. Not just like don't do anything and just leave it be, and then you owe people money. Please don't.
Yeah, that's correct. So now that we know, okay, firstly, tenants have a right to quiet enjoyment of the property. Secondly, before you sign the tenancy agreement, read the tenancy agreement, understand what is your obligation and what is the landlord's obligation. And then thirdly, do not retaliate and not pay rent, right?
Yes, please don't.
But what if the tenant now suddenly, sometimes client comes to us and the worst has already been done. The client has already not paid rent, being the tenant. Okay, now the question is whether the landlord can now kick you out from the premises. I don't know if it is a myth or people tend to believe that landlords can just kick them out, but that's actually not true. Landlords cannot just kick you out from the premises. They have to go through a very long and lengthy process to get a court order to evict you, which is a very sad thing for landlords actually.
Yeah, that's right, Celine. I have to agree with you. I mean, I think most people see on TV, it sounds like very simple. I'm going to kick you out like that. But that's what you see on TV, guys.
Yeah.
In the real world, there's a
No, it doesn't
law.
work like that.
It doesn't work like that. It's a whole process. It's a full circle.
Yeah,
They need to do a
exactly.
lot of things. For instance, first they need to issue a demand. They need to tell you that you have, let's say, on this in your tenancy agreement, you have breached which agreement, aka pay rent. Then from there they give you time to rectify it. If they don't rectify, then yes, you have to proceed the next step, which is where they do what they call an early termination.
Yeah.
Because if they never terminate, they cannot just take back the property like that.
Correct. Yeah, that's true. So after issuing a notice of termination, they will give you some time to let you pack your things and get out from there. If you don't, that is when they will start with the court proceedings to get a court order. The bailiff will come, the court officer will come to get you out from there. It's really not a very pretty scene, to be honest.
It depends on which side you were. Because from my experience, I used to do this type of things where I break into people's house, not for tenancies or anything, but because they fail to pay money. So which is why I know for a fact, it's after when this happens, when shit does happen like that, it's not fun for the tenant, landlord or anyone else. Is another thing is cost matters.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You think, like, let's say for hiring a bailiff, or let's say a locksmith to break in, all that, it's extra money altogether.
And then what if you need to take the things out and then store it at somewhere else? Then there's storage fees. There's a lot of hidden fees that people don't see,
Exactly.
right? So now another thing that tenants should know when it comes to entering into a tenancy agreement is the option to renew the tenancy agreement. This one, I think a lot of people don't know. In your tenancy agreement, if there is a clause that says that you can renew the tenancy agreement for another, for 1 year or 2 years, and then they will say the rental will be subject to, for example, what both parties decide later on. See, this is very uncertain, right? How do I know what parties want later on, correct or not? And then in this case, the court will not recognize that there is this option to renew because the term is so uncertain. We do not know at what rate is this rental going to be. Then how the court is going to enforce this option to renew at the end of the day.
I mean, for me, okay, so same thing. That's why I always look at a contract and see what it says from tenancy agreement.
Yeah.
So if let's say, just say most commonly people are, they never think far ahead, or sometimes let's say 2 years, then they want to renew after, they just feel, oh, I like staying here, I'll stay some more. But the problem is, there's nothing saying about it. This is where the basic idea is to maybe first talk to your landlord about it and say whether I want to stay longer. Is it okay if they're agreeable? Then maybe just continue the same rate. Let's say it's 2,000, you continue 2,000. If it's continuing, let's say it's from 1st January 2025 to 1st January 2026 and it continues on, that every month you pay on a monthly same is 2,000. It's basically what we call a periodic tenancy.
Yeah.
For that period of time, you continue. But if at all, I would recommend just do another tenancy agreement. It's just a few hundred, better than just leaving it like in thin air, like hanging there ain't that good.
I mean, if nothing goes bad, and things go smoothly, I think there's no issue. But then sometimes there is an issue, like suddenly the landlord don't want to rent it to you anymore. But then the tenant will come and say that I already say I want to renew. Now you cannot now rent it to another person. You get what I mean? That's when this issue, when it comes to option to renew, will come in, because there is no certainty in terms of what are the terms when you want to renew the tenancy agreement itself. So
Yep.
this is one thing that tenants have to be aware of when they sign the tenancy agreement.
Correct.
Right. Okay, now that we have played our role as a tenant, let's play our role as a landlord.
Let's go. That's the fun part. Where people most think, oh, landlord means I'm the boss. I get free money, passive income.
You get money, all that. They don't see the hidden fees that they have to pay for. For example, just now like we said, if your tenant is not paying rent, you have to go through such a long and unnecessary process of evicting this person. What if this person ran away, left those things in that property? Now what are you going to do? That's also another court procedure you have to go through, because you need to get the order to go into the property now, to take the things out, sell it, or deal with it according to what the court thinks fit. And then there is cost, because you need to store those things, right? What about your loss of rental from not being able to rent that place out for, like, I would say at least half a year to get the court order?
I'd say that's just the touch of it. You need to think of, let's say, you're talking the basic storage fees and just go there. But you need to think about, let's say, for a landlord, let's say, back to the same concept of 2,000, I have to hire my lawyer to do these things. The legal fees that you have to just to hire, is it worth it to pursue all that to further?
So how much are you charging?
Very good question. I have to check. It depends on it, because that's why I said, if you ask me right now, I don't think it's not as worth as just trying to settle with your tenant.
That's true. That's true.
And then let's say go back to the same thing. If let's say your tenant, most of those, if you have those people that just run away, the problem with this is what happens to the property. If you, let's say, example, in a normal house, suddenly they trash it or anything, what happens then? That's another cost just to fix it all together.
Yeah. So nowadays renting also doesn't seem very doesn't seem very viable, right? It doesn't seem like a good way of like investing or earning money, passive income. So a lot of things comes along, a lot of liabilities comes along with the rental itself.
Definitely.
Right.
It's true. That's why when people think that renting is free money, it's not that simple, guys.
Yeah,
It's really not.
Really. And nowadays, right, let's go to the second issue when it comes to being a landlord. There is a lot of illegal activities going on these days in rented properties. Especially, I mean, I don't want to say that it is because of the immigrants or whatever.
Just say that the tenant, we can't say that. Immigrants or anything. That's social profiling. But yeah, I understand where you come from. I mean, because not being biased or anything, it's just because they don't have any liability, anything, they just can go back home, and then that's why they can just leave it as it be, and then who bears the burden at the end is the landlord.
Yes.
That's why they just don't care. I'm not saying that there are other people that also do it as well, but just so happens that it is the
nowadays recent news is showing that it is a lot of foreigners. I mean, again, I'm not trying to social profile whoever. Like recently, the Bangsa South one.
Which one?
The Bangsa South, as there was a police raid. Apparently, the office premises were rented to carry out online scamming activities.
Oh yeah, I know about it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this one I give you all free advice. When you look at someone, see what they want to do. If it's let's say to rent to stay, maybe just check on it, do some checks on it, because I say something doesn't mean I'll do it.
So yeah.
So like if to avoid these online scams, because if let's say he scams or does anything worse, let's say what do you call it, drug related anything, you as the landlord, you guys are the ones in the shit, not the
tenant. Especially if you're aware of it, then it becomes aiding and abetting.
Yeah.
Don't just because you want to earn that rental and then you close one eye. It doesn't work that way, right? Unless you really don't know after you're doing due diligence and then you really didn't find out anything, no red flags or whatever. So that's fine. But if you knew and then you continue with it, that is wrong, guys. Recently I saw on Instagram there was this reel, like this landlord. He took a video of his property that he rented out. It was so dodgy because there was like condoms, condom packets, and all that.
Having
so they
condoms.
suspected that they were doing prostitution in the property.
This one is subjective. I mean, having a box of condoms is
No, a lot is like it's like very dirty. It's so dirty,
Wow.
and the whole place just does not look like a home. It looks more like a
okay.
place for
Okay.
God knows what they were doing, but I don't know. But
It's for the court to decide, not for us.
yeah, it's for the court to decide. But
Ah.
when you look at it, right, or if you see you're like being a landlord, you'll feel like my property has just become like that. See, that is another cost that you have to pay for to restore back this whole thing. And it's just another hassle to go through.
Definitely.
So now, other than being aware of what is going on in your property when you've rented it out, okay, it comes to meter tapping, also the same thing. If your tenant tapped the meter, it is not the tenant's fault, okay? It is your fault.
I can confirm this because I've been doing a lot of meter tampering cases, or even not say meter tampering lah. In general, I give you guys a simple logic lah. You and me and Celine, we are friends. But if I rent it to Celine and she stays at my place and she doesn't pay electricity bills, but I was the owner and I deal with TNB. Let's say for example, the house is mine ma. So that means I have a contract with TNB. How would TNB know that I rent to Celine? Yes, you can tell TNB, hey, I rent to Celine, but Celine never pay. You think TNB care meh? What matters is the contract between you and TNB ma. So I don't care, you meter tamper, you don't pay electricity bills, anything, I'll go after you.
Correct.
And then this is where another problem comes to arise. Whether the tenant will pay or not, or you run away, then another cost you wasted just because of this minor technicality that you just didn't tell TNB that I went to change my tenant, the premises to let
the tenant stay.
Correct.
But the thing is, you're talking about if tenant run away and didn't pay the electricity bills, right? But meter tapping itself is an offense. If they caught you tampering that meter itself, the offense is on the landlord, not on the tenant. So that is also another liability that the landlord is actually, they have to face
Correct.
when they rent the property out. So a lot of things you have to really be aware of, unfortunately lah.
Very. That's why I said, people see, you guys don't see the thing. Landlord sounds like, oh, you're like a boss, you get free money.
Yeah.
But when in fact, when you look at these technical things, you can know. Let's say example, meter tampering. Actually, guys, if you never like, especially I can know for a fact, like how Celine says that a lot of illegal things happening. I know Bitcoin is very on the up these days. A lot of people are just because of this. You meter tamper, it can go up to more than 100K, guys.
Yeah.
And it's not even your name, But then who cares? TNB won't care. They'll go after you just because your name is on the property, not
Correct.
your tenant.
That is the actual fact of what's going on these days lah. A lot of people don't know this until they get caught in that situation. And then another thing that being a landlord, okay, one of the perks of being a landlord that you can get is double rent.
If you count that as a perk, then
Okay lah, we already have a lot of liabilities, bro. Okay, at least one good thing comes out of it, double rent. If your tenant, after you have terminated the contract, don't want to leave the place, continue to delay reinstating. Obviously, if the tenant leaves, they have to reinstate the property, right? So they are holding
Correct.
over the property until a certain period of time. If they delay, continue to illegally hold that property, or instead they do not want to leave the property so they are living there unlawfully.
Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
And without your consent. So now, you can charge double rent. That is at your discretion. It's your right. You can choose to have it, don't have it. Okay, but obviously every landlord will charge double rent lah because you are unlawfully holding my property. What else you want me to do?
and not to mention humans are greedy.
Yeah,
if I
exactly.
get double the money for the original sum, who wouldn't do it?
Yeah, but there is one very practical thing that everybody has to consider, because I have done a fair share of tenancy matters, and at the end of the day, right, a lot of them don't really have the money. So even if I charge the double rent, at the end of the day, I will get the court order. I will get to evict this person. Maybe the reinstatement would not be perfect, and then I still charge for the double rent. But can I really get the money from him? He doesn't have money. If I am to execute the judgment against him, there is no point, because I just cannot get back anything from him. So this is also one of the risks that landlords are actually taking, because you will never know. But that's why, right, I think nowadays, right, from what I learned from property agents, they really go into the background of the tenant first before they rent it out. They are very scared that they cannot collect back their rental, or the fellow run away.
I'm not sure about property agents, but because from what I know is property agents, they get a find a tenant, they will get a commission from it. It's more the landlord that should be wary about this actually.
Yeah.
But if you ask me, right,
The property agents will like find out. No, landlords will ask the property agents to find out, oh, what's this guy doing? Does he really have the money? Is he like having an occupation? Does he have a job? So that they can minimize the risk of them running away.
if let's say local, yes, it'll be easier. But if foreigners, and sometimes when landlords are desperate, let's say there's always a concept that most landlords will think, I have someone inside my property, it's better than I have no one in my property. So at least I got some money. So when they're desperate, then they'll just take the foreigners.
I mean, they're not wrong though.
Ah,
Right.
but the thing is that comes with the risk. Oh. And okay, so back to your question about whether like is it worth it to execute a judgment and all that. If it's a local one, not so bad. You can at least going further into details, like let's say got his IC and all that, you can see where he stays and then you go from there lor. Or when he pays rental, usually let's say if you get the bank transfer, you can at least get money from their bank. That's what we call a garnishee proceedings, if at all.
But I mean, the situation that my client previously was in was really, really unfortunate, because this guy, he opens like a restaurant, then the restaurant failed. Then obviously he got no money to pay back my client, even though I already got the court order. It was devastating for not only the. I mean, I understand the tenant is in really like bad position, but then also for my landlord, it was just really unfortunate for him, and that he could not get back his money. It ultimately became a paper judgment, I would say. There was no point in executing anymore. So
It does happen.
yeah, it does happen. So that is also one thing I realized, that so landlords have a lot of risk that they are taking when they are renting properties out. Also worried that this fellow will run away, worried that they cannot pay back. What if I get a judgment and then I still cannot get back? So when you rent, you should be mindful of who you're renting to.
Correct.
Like I said, sometimes landlords will ask property agents to check for their background. Are they locals? Are they what kind of jobs are they working? Is it good pay? They even ask for position sometimes.
Because they want to see your
Capability, your financial.
the credit score basically.
Yeah, correct.
Whether can you do this or what happens. And
Yeah.
not to mention, this is what most commonly in tenancy agreements, they ask you to do like a deposit of like 2,000 for the utility or anything, just in case the security lah. If not
Yeah.
if they don't pay or they zao at least I have something to fall on. At least
Yeah, that's true. So, I think we've come to an end to this topic. I hope this episode has brought some clarity to it. It's like what are the risks that you're taking, really being a tenant and a landlord? What are your rights? Is it a good deal to rent this out now to this person? There's so many factors that you should take in seriously before you rent out, especially nowadays. A lot of unscrupulous people.
scrutiny, a lot of things. Yes, definitely.
Correct. So, anyways, like I said, I hope this episode has brought more awareness to everybody, and I hope to see you guys on the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye, thanks.